It all started on a rainy Friday afternoon when the office buzz felt unusually quiet. Everyone had trickled out early except me. I was sitting at my desk, organizing next week's files when my boss's brother, Daniel, walked in again. This was the third time that week he had dropped by, always with a casual excuse like delivering lunch or needing to speak with Mark, my boss. But Mark was never around when Daniel came. And deep down, I had a feeling he knew that. I had only been working at Thompson and Dale Interiors for 6 months, but the workplace was tight-knit enough that I knew everyone and Daniel wasn't on the payroll. Still, he was always around. Mark had introduced him to us as his younger brother who ran his own small contracting business. He was tall, charming in a rugged way, with that kind of silent confidence that never felt performative. I had always liked his energy, but I kept it professional. I was new, still finding my place, and the last thing I needed was gossip following me around. That day, Daniel came in wearing a gray hoodie, damp from the drizzle outside. He shook the water off his sleeves and offered a warm smile. "You're still here?" he asked, his voice deep but soft. I nodded, trying to be ahead of Monday. "You know how Mark is about clean starts." He chuckled and stepped closer, his boots echoing on the floor. "He left about an hour ago." "I just missed him, huh?" "Looks like it," I replied, my fingers pretending to tap a few more keys, even though I was done 10 minutes ago. There was a pause, long enough for me to feel his presence, more than see it. He didn't speak again immediately, and I sensed him watching me. I glanced up, and our eyes locked for a second too long. "I was going to check out that wall we talked about in the break room." "It's still leaking?" he asked, shifting the subject. I appreciated the redirection. "Yeah, a bit. The paint's starting to bubble. I've got some sealant in my truck. Want me to do it now?" "Shouldn't take long." I hesitated. It was already after 5, but something in me didn't want him to go yet. So I nodded. "Sure." He disappeared for a moment and came back with a small bucket and a tube of sealant. I led him to the break room, which sat at the far end of the office, near the back storage area. It was quieter there, tucked away from the main workspace. Daniel knelt down and inspected the bubbling area beneath the window ledge. I stood nearby, arms folded, watching his hands move with calm precision. As he worked, his hoodie slipped up a bit, revealing the back of his neck and a hint of a tattoo. There was something familiar about his stillness, the way he handled tools. It was comforting, but something else too. "You do this kind of thing often?" I asked, trying to keep it light. "All the time. Grew up fixing stuff for my mom before I ever touched a real job," he said without looking up. I smiled at that. She must have appreciated that. She did. She was the reason I got into repairs and small builds. Always said if I had strong hands, I'd better use them for good. There was a brief silence after that. Then he added, "She passed away last year." My smile faded. "I'm sorry, Daniel. I didn't know." He finally looked up, eyes shadowed with something deeper than grief. "It's okay. She was proud of me. That's what keeps me going." Something shifted in the air. Maybe it was his vulnerability, or maybe it was the way we were tucked away in that small room while the rest of the world faded outside. I walked over slowly and knelt beside him, our knees almost touching. He was still for a moment, and then he let out a shaky breath. "Can I ask you something, Rachel?" I nodded, unsure where this was going. "Do you ever feel like you're holding so much and that it aches?" The question startled me, not because I didn't understand it, but because I did. All too well. "Yes," I said softly. "More than I want to admit." He looked at me then, really looked, like he saw everything beneath my smile and polite office voice. And when he reached for my hand, I didn't pull away. His palm was warm and rough, a contrast to the cool countertop we leaned against. For a moment, nothing else mattered. Not the office rules, not who he was related to, not the potential whispers. Just this small moment where two people saw something mirrored in each other. Daniel's hand tightened just slightly around mine, and I felt his thumb brush across my knuckles. He leaned closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't come here just to check the wall." I swallowed hard. I figured. "I don't want to cross any lines, Rachel. But I haven't stopped thinking about you since that first day we met. And every time I see you, It aches a little more. His words landed heavy, but not in a burdensome way. More like a truth that had been waiting for air. I didn't know what to say, but I didn't have to. I didn't move. I didn't push him away. I let the silence speak for me. He leaned in slowly, cautiously, like he was waiting for any sign of hesitation. But all I gave him was stillness and breath. When our lips met, it wasn't fiery or fast. It was deep and slow, an ache finding a home. His hand cupped the side of my face, the other still resting on the floor near his tools. There was nothing rushed, nothing aggressive. Just a quiet heat building, drawing us closer. I felt the tension he carried, the heaviness in his chest as he pressed against me. My back found the edge of the cabinet as he braced his arms on either side, hovering close but never pushing too far. His forehead rested against mine, and he exhaled. "I needed this," he said. "More than I thought I did." "I know," I whispered. The rain outside softened to a mist as the evening darkened. The only sounds in the room were our breathing and the faint drip of the sink nearby. Time slowed. His body trembled just slightly, his chest rising and falling against mine. There was something cathartic about it, not just desire but release. Like we both needed a moment of connection to remember what it felt like to be seen. He lingered there, holding me, forehead to forehead, his breath warm against my cheek. I let him stay like that. I didn't pull away. I didn't rush it. Eventually, he pulled back and gave a quiet laugh. "I probably ruined your evening plans." I shook my head. "You didn't. I didn't mean for that to happen." "I think we both did," I said, not as a regret but as a recognition of the truth. He cleaned up the area he'd patched, though I doubted either of us would remember what section of the wall he had sealed. Then we walked back out into the office together, slower this time, more aware of each other. As he grabbed his things to leave, he paused at the door. "I won't tell Mark if you're worried." I gave a soft smile. "I'm not. It's not about him." He nodded, understanding exactly what I meant. The following week, he didn't show up. Not Monday. Not Wednesday. I found myself glancing at the front entrance more than I should have. By Friday, I convinced myself it was probably for the best. Whatever that moment had been, it was just that, a moment. But then, around 4:45 p.m., the door creaked open. Daniel stepped in, his hoodie dry this time, his eyes scanning until they found mine. I stood from my desk without thinking, walking to meet him halfway. He looked nervous, a hand rubbing the back of his neck. "I didn't want to make things weird," he said. "You didn't," I replied. "I just needed time to figure out if it was just heat or something else."